Hello! It's the third part of our journey toward exporter to dotbim format from Tekla Structures. Today we will start the coding, but not so heavy coding. I would like at the beginning to present how I am usually structuring the projects inside of the solution and how you can connect to the newest Tekla 2024 and how to handle all of those new features which is involved into that version. So I have prepared, or not yet, okay, so I will just prepare the new directory for the overall solution, and it will be the dotbim.tekla. And yeah, dotbim is written with the lowercase, but I think that the Tekla, rather, it is the convention to use the uppercase. So that will be our main folder, our main directory. Then let's create here the folder source, and that will be the place where we will place the solution. So now let's create the solution inside of the Visual Studio. I am using the version 2022, but the process looks the same in almost every version. So we need to pick at the very beginning the right template. And usually when I don't want to focus from the very beginning on the UI, I am picking the class library. And the question is why I am doing that, because then you are not distracted by all of those nuances of your UI. So let's pick the library, and here we have the possibility to pick the class library, or at the bottom the class library with .NET Framework. And if you are not aware of the difference, then the .NET Framework is the old way of writing C# applications. Currently, we are not using the .NET Framework, but unfortunately, Tekla still has quite a lot of internals depending on the previous platform. So we will do some trick, and I will start with the class library targeting into the .NET standard. That will be my first step. So here I need to provide the location, and it was, let's just copy paste that path. So this is here, and I want to name that project. It will be the dotbim Tekla, and the question is what should be the last name? Should it be the logic engine? Yeah, I will probably not split into too many layers our project. I don't think that it is necessary. So I will just use the word engine, because the logic, it provides the naming that there is only the interaction between something from the input and something from the output. So this is not what I would like to have. So dotbim Tekla engine, this is my first start. And now I'm just looking into that tick place solution and project in the same directory. Probably I will have to use a little different convention. So let's try to do it like that. So inside of the dotbim .tekla, in the source, I will have one project, and let's see that it will work like I want. And here, let's pick .NET Standard 2.0. This is something which the Tekla 2024 is able to consume. So let's start with that. And after a short while, the Visual Studio will start our project, and let's see that the structure is correct. So, okay, I don't like the name of the solution, but I used it just to place it in the right directory. I will need to change it. And what's more, I have the project, the class library inside of the dotbim Tekla engine. Okay, so it looks quite nice, but of course that naming, it should be different. So dotbim.tekla, and now this is our solution. And yeah, now we have it. Let's just compile it, and we have our DLL. Of course, we can't start the DLL. This is just the DLL. It's not the executable. It can be triggered, it can be run. It has to be placed in some other conveyor. And during the most of that series, we will be placing the DLL only inside of the test project. Probably it will be some integration test which will get the data from Tekla. I don't want to focus on the UI unless it will be really, really needed. And you know, it's very it's not so easy to skip the UI for the most time of the project. But if you think about the internals of what we are trying to do, we are trying to export something what is already selected over the whole model. And if you think how much time the algorithm will spend inside of that conversion from the Tekla faces to the dotbim triangles versus how much time will be spent on just clicking on some modify, create, run, whatever will be the name of the button, then you will see that this, strictly thinking from the class library point of view, it will focus our attention on the places where it should be. Because if we will start dealing with the UI, then a lot of things can be done differently, like every time when you are dealing with the UI. So here is my dotbim Tekla engine project. And what I want to do, I want to add the dependency to Tekla OpenAPI. And we will be working with the Tekla model side. So I will just type Tekla Structures model, and there will be the library. Here it is. So the newest version for which it will point to the Tekla 2024. Let's install it, and we will be able to use the power of API inside of our class. And of course, now we have some random naming. Let's start with something not very meaningful for the rest of the project, but just for the setuping of all of those pieces. We want to create the proper skeleton for our solution. So during that video, we will not create anything with the big value, but just like that. So I will provide some naming, Tekla project info query. Let's name it like that. We will have some better name. And here I will just use Tekla Structures model namespace just to get the model. Okay, let's provide some, I want to create get project name, just like that. So here I want to create a very simple method just to check that the connectivity between our application and the Tekla is working correctly. So I will just provide the name, new model, and here I want to return model get project info and model, sorry, not get project info, but get info, and here it will be the model name. Okay, so it is not the project name, but the model name, and it will be quite nice. And of course, we have just a class with a single method, and we are not able to invoke it in any way. So of course, we can still compile our project, but it doesn't do anything. So we need something, some executable, some WPF application, or some test. And I strongly convince you that you should start with creating some test project. So let's do it with some adding new project. And here I will search for the tests. And depending on your Visual Studio setup, you will have plenty of different, but I think that almost every time you will have the MS test. And once more again, please don't pick that one with the .NET framework, just pick that one which will be targeting the newest .NET 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's start with that. So now the matter of naming. And the convention is that it will be the dotbim Tekla. And I want to have the ending of this project with the test or tests. So let's name it like tests, and I will, those tests will be related to the integration part. So we will be asking Tekla for the data. So I will name them like the integration tests. And this is the name of the project which I want to use. Let's start with that, and let's pick the oldest possible .NET version. And why is that? I will shortly explain. So now I have the new project, and those are the tests. And after rebuilding the icon of that, it will change. I hope that let's download all of those dependencies, because then Visual Studio will recognize that this is the test project. But unfortunately, something is not working. And you see, now we have a different icon which will distinguish the engine part and the integration tests part. Nice, but there will be one problem with that approach. That currently that project is aiming to .NET 5, which is not supported for the Tekla OpenAPI. So we will be not able to communicate from that integration test to the Tekla. The same will go if you would create the WPF application with the newest .NET. So here we need to do some magics from the point of view of the CS Pro, so the project specification of your stuff. And the magic of the new SDK style of those projects is related that you can very easily change inside of that. So now I will just change the targeting flat platform. So it will not point to .NET 5, but it will point to the .NET Framework 4.8. And of course, it will need the rebuilding. And after a short while, we should be able to get the result. And I see that the rebuilding was correct. Of course, there are some complaints about the missing analyzers because we have quite do some dramatic shift. And let's just open once more again the Visual Studio. Here it is, and hopefully after reloading those errors will disappear. Great, we have that. Okay, so now we are targeting the platform 4.8. So we will be able to communicate with the Tekla. And now let's add our engine project as a dependency. So now our integration test will be able to consume all of those classes which are exposed from our dotbim Tekla engine project. And here we have some unit tests, and I will just name it like Tekla connection tests. That will be the name of that class. And here it will be get model name should return name. Okay, so I have changed the naming of the classes and the name of the test method, and it will just help to understand what is not working, what is working, and all of that stuff which is related to the testing. I will not very strongly work on that area inside of that series. We just need to get some way to communicate with the Tekla. So here, what I would like to do, I would like to provide some usings for the previous project using dotbim Tekla engine. This is our reference. And here, what's more, I want to invoke to create the object of that particular class. So inside of our test, I want to create a system under test, and I want to get the result. So here I want to get the model name, and I want to assert that it's not empty. Usually I'm using fluent assertions. Are not empty. Is there anything? It's true, not really. Yeah, like that. So we are okay. For now it should be okay. Later we will add the dependency for the fluent assertions, and it will be much easier to write that. And now the main thing I want to rebuild, and also I need to add the viewing of the test because from some reason it's not here. So let's add the test explorer. Let's dock it here, and yeah, as the second one, here it is. So now I will try to run the test, and of course it will fail, but let's do it by that. And yeah, the test has been triggered, and we have some problem. And what is the problem? So we have the problem that, unfortunately, we were not able to connect with Tekla. The type initializer for Tekla Structures threw an exception. Yeah, something is wrong. Definitely, something is wrong. So what we have proved, that our tests are able to point that we are not connected to the Tekla. And why we are not connected? Because we have added that package. So it is there. Hey, what's wrong? And the problem, maybe not the problem, the difference is that with the Tekla 2024, there is a big change how the Tekla assemblies are provided to other applications. Because previously, when you were opening the Tekla, previously then version 2024, all of those internal libraries like Tekla Structures model, Tekla Structures drawing, they were all exposed in the global assembly cache. And they were just sitting and waiting for the communication. So when your application was trying to connect to the specific Tekla version, then it was the direct link very quickly established. But now, with the slowly migration to the newest .NET version, it's not working like that. So we need to inform our application where it can find the Tekla. And how it should work. And for that purpose, I think that the easiest way would be just to go Tekla Open API 2024 release notes. Here it is. And if we go at the bottom, then there will be the very, very rich in terms of the knowledge article where all of those stuff is explained. Now I just want to get my code running as fast as possible. So here, if we will look into developing and running tests for your extension, this is definitely what we want. So we need to do some stuff with some magic paths. Let's not think about that until some time. But that nugget package is something what we truly want. We want to add it to our executable or to our test project, because it will modify our internals of our project to direct to the correct version of Tekla libraries. So I will now add the dependency to our integration test. Let's browse for that, and it will be somewhere here. Let's install it. And of course, we are just getting more dependencies, but I would say in the long term, it's easier to get that patcher than to write it on your own and migrate to the newer Tekla versions. So that is the first step. And the second step is about creating that file, directory build props, and it should be located in the same directory where you have the solution. So let's look, where do we have solution? Let's open the directory, and here it is. So here I want to create the new text file. Let's name it like that. Okay, and now it's time to open that. Let's open it with the Visual Studio, and we need to choose one of the paths, because the first one is that you provide the exact location of the DLLs on your machine. And if you're working in a team and every team member has the Tekla installed in the C program files or in C Tekla structures, then you feel that you will have the problem because different locations of the Tekla will be problematic. So you can use the workaround, which is very nice from the Trimble side, that they have provided such opportunity where you are just providing the version. And based on that version, that patcher will go to the registry on your machine. A little risky, but okay. Let's hope that Trimble guys, they know what they are doing. And based on the key inside of your registry, the exact path of the Tekla on your hard drive will be located. So definitely I rather prefer that option. So I will just copy that part of the XML and post it here. And what we have to adapt, that part. So I will just hard code it to the 2024.0 because this is the official naming. And now I have it in the directory. And now let's see how the building of our integration test will look. Because now if you look here, then something new is available. Those lines, they were not here before the patcher. Here we have the debug or console log, however you name from whatever background you are coming. But here we are getting the feedback from that patcher that, hey, I have fixed for you the integration test. So now let's see that our test, which was previously not working, that it will, it works. Nice, of course, probably you are not trusting me, so let's check here in the debug mode that the result is truly the model name, which is something like the 2024 underline test. Great. So now we have the connection between the Tekla 2024, our application. And of course, it is not done directly because here, as you saw, I have added the dependency to Tekla 2024 Open API just for that project, just for my class library project. It is not exposed to the integration. If I would create the WPF application, then probably I would also not add the dependency to the UI because the Tekla is not heavily related to the UI unless you're using Fusion or some other stuff, but let's leave it to another place. So that is the basic setup which I am usually doing. So I don't want to have my logic in some UI project because it will just distract you. It will put your attention in the places where they should not be. Truly, trust me. You are a developer, so you are not the guy who is making better colors in the UI. You are from the logic point of view. So please stick with the class libraries and there create your stuff. Okay, And I have also created the integration test because I would like to have some safety mesh, I would say, for what I will be doing with inside of the Tekla. And of course, those are quite fragile tests because they will depend that the Tekla is running, that the state of the model is as during the moment of when I was writing those tests. But hey, if you would not use those tests, then you would just click some magic button in your WinForms or WPF application to check that it is truly running. So you would do the same stuff, but without any, backup, like here we will have. Okay, so that is the basic setup, but there is something more which I really like when you switch to that new SDK style, when your project looks like that. Because now we are able to very quickly add features from the newest .NET, from the newest C# language versions. So for example, I really like the records. And maybe, so I really like those type of structures, very light classes, which are super easy to compare each of the other. So sample record, and as you can see, I am getting the exception that something is wrong, that I can't use the record, and the Visual Studio is just saying that, hey, I don't know what the record is. And now this is something where you can add one more dependency. And of course, every dependency comes with some cost, but truly, trust me, I use the dependency in almost all of my projects because I feel that it is very productive. So there is the polysharp, which is the filler, so it injects the newest stuff from the C# language into your project, which has to be triggered, which has to target the .NET standard or even .NET framework. So let's add the polysharp to our dotbim Tekla engine project. Here it is, and unfortunately it will be not enough, because now after trying to rebuild, we will still get the problem that hey, something is wrong. But yeah, it's not working because we have not changed inside of our project file the language version. So here you need to add the new XML attribute, the language version, and I think that we could use the 12.0. You can, of course, always check on the Microsoft website, which is the newest one, but I think that it should be enough. Let's see that it will work or not. And rebuilding is working, and now suddenly record, the keyword record, is not visible as an error. So the combination of upgrading the language version with the polyfills from the rest from the polysharp from that library, it make the magic. So now I can very quickly create that sample record, just like it would be in the newest .NET version. So I will be using those records and other newest .NET features inside of the dotbim Tekla engine, and it can be done due to the dependency. So for example, what I really like is just to, let's just be one level less in terms of those brackets, and now the namespace is at the top one. You don't have to scroll right or left horizontally inside of the Visual Studio. So that is one of the features which were added in the newer versions of the .NET platform. So yeah, that is all. I will now just set up the repo on GitHub just to, we have something. Let's just be sure that it is still working. And yeah, we have the skeleton, the foundation. Maybe not very impressive, but it is what I always start with. And it took something about 20 minutes. Someone would say that, during the time you would just create some code. Okay, but please remember that writing software is not running a sprint. It's rather like a marathon. So please be patient. And in the next video, we will truly work with the Tekla OpenAPI. Thanks for today and see you next time.